Hi, folks. This is Monday, August 17th. Boy, a lot happened over the weekend. Let's see what Larry has to say. And then I got a list of questions that came from me and others. So take it away, Larry.
Well, hello, everybody. It is Monday. And the president's in Minnesota having sort of a rally. And as most of you know, today is the day the Democratic Party starts their convention. Now, I heard something this morning that was kind of disturbing, but I know what it is. It still is disturbing. There was a poll that the ABC, NBC, and CBS, the media is using, and it had Biden, if you can believe this, beating Trump 20 points. Now, folks, this is what they're going to do. They're going to keep doing it, and make it just look impossible for him to win.
Well, like they did in 2016.
Yeah, except I think it's going to be worse this time. And what they're trying to do is break the spirit of the Trump supporters. And then, above all else, make people that were going to go in and would probably vote for Trump, they're going to stay home. They're not going to mess with it. Why? Because, well, he's already lost, so no sense worrying about it. The other thing they're going to do about trumping up these polls the way they are, as y'all know, with this scandal with the ballots in the mail, they've got to protect themselves so that if they show in these counts from the ballots in the mail, for example, Biden beating Trump 18%, which everybody knows would be ridiculous. Well, they have polls to show that that is consistent with what the polls were saying. So there you go. I don't know how many people are going to believe them, but you can bet from now until Election Day, at least 2 times a week, we're going to be hit with polls that show President Trump just literally losing everything. So with that being a Monday, Mariella, I think what I'd like to do, because I always worry that we don't get enough time in for the questions. So folks, get your questions in, and let me once again remind everybody, I'm not Mr. Know-It-All. So, I can only talk about and give you honest answers in the areas that I know. So anyway, Marielle, what have you got?
I got a list of stuff here. Nothing coming in yet, but I have a list of stuff. Number one, Toronto Today yesterday. And I went to TorontoToday.net, and because I'm not a subscriber, I was not allowed to go in to verify. And this story has already been pulled, but supposedly Toronto Today reported that Putin's daughter has had a second COVID vaccine and died quickly thereafter. So that's, and I tried to verify it, and I could not get into the Toronto Today article.
I know nothing about it. So if that did happen, it would be, I guess you'd say, normal for Putin to cover it up, because he wouldn't want, his whole thing is that they've got the vaccine already.
Yeah, and he got the international priority. So, yeah.
And he wouldn't dare, even though it's his daughter, he wouldn't dare make such a high-profile person that died taking that vaccine. He wouldn't allow that to be put out.
Yeah, so the story was pulled within, I think, 2 hours.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yep. Now, India is reporting that they are being required to have a digital health ID card that will show their health history, whether they've been tested and vaxxed. They cannot buy, sell, or hold a job without this card. And the report said that already millions are starving and suicide has skyrocketed.
Well, in a country like India, it would be impossible, absolutely impossible, to get everyone those cards or whatever. It's just impossible. Now, the thing I don't like is this is another effort, it would seem, to get everybody, at least in India, which would probably spread to here if it works, but it's just another thing to try to get us a number, so to speak. And that troubles me greatly.
Another thing is there's a video out. I think a guy named Bobby Lee has put it out. Dave Daubenmeier showed it this morning on his show, and Bishop Larry Gator, who has been on with Jason Goodman quite frequently in recent weeks and months. Anyhow, Larry Gator's on there talking about BLM and the 3 women who have started BLM. And these women have actually admitted, Bishop Gator says that BLM is actually a witchcraft organization. And the 3 women leading it are witches, and they are using occult practices from Western Africa. And there are 16 BLM headquarters in the U.S. There was Memphis, Nashville, Detroit, Lansing, Michigan, Northern Indiana, and Chicago, look like Philadelphia possibly, DC, New York, Boston, and there was one other one up in the Northeast. Anyhow, 16 altogether. And every one of them has the name of a West African god, idol. And so they are very much involved in witchcraft, and of course, knowing that Satan comes to rob, kill, and destroy. Pardon my preachiness, but obviously, what they are doing is robbing and destroying. So their activity certainly supports what Larry Gator was claiming.
Well, Mary Ellen and all of you, Black Lives Matters. Now, there's 2 Black Lives Matters, and you got to understand that before a lot of this will make sense. There is the organization that you're talking about, Mary Ellen, Black Lives Matter. That's the official organization. Then you've got the George Soros group that go running around Black Lives Matter. But they're not worried about Black lives. They're worried about shutting down police, etc., etc. Now, the witches part, I don't know, excuse me, I don't know that I can believe that, but it would not surprise me. This whole socialist movement, or should we say progressive movement, is just based, its foundation is evil. It's just about destroying. Why would anybody want to destroy America? What are you going to have when it's gone? What will we have when it's gone? What will anybody have when it's gone? And when it's gone, what will it be worth?
Well, and what we're seeing with BLM and Antifa is just like the brown shirts under Hitler and the Red Guard under Mao, where they were all about taking out the wealthy, robbing from them, making people believe that they have a right, that to have what somebody else has. And of course, as soon as they had come, the elite had come in and completely destroyed everything, then the people who had done the grunt work for them of actually doing the robbing and killing and mayhem were cast aside. So these people who are participating in this are nothing but stooges, and I wish they'd wake up to how they're being used.
Oh, so do I. There's a clip on TV, and I think it was from Los Angeles, San Francisco, or something. And it was another one of the main streets, the main, like Rodeo Drive. I mean, it's the main showcase street for the city. Now, it's boarded up. They can't open, they can't do anything, and they're losing business by the truckloads. Now, believe it or not, the city's complaining that since they're not selling much at all, that it's costing the city in sales tax revenue. And guess what? They want to come at Washington to get what they consider the 1 point something billion loss in tax revenue. Now, I gotta just say, folks, if Biden were president, he would do it. He'd give it to him. The good news is he's not. And President Trump is going to do what I would do, and I think what most of y'all would do. Look, you brought it on yourself. The whole time that they were shutting down and rioting and shutting that street down and looting, the whole time President Trump was offering to let the federal government come in and keep these people from doing it. But the mayor wouldn't allow it. It's crazy. I mean, this is the most incredible situation I've ever seen. On one hand, President Trump's got this virus. On the other hand, he's got Black Lives Matter and Antifa. And he's got the mayors and the governors of these quote-unquote progressive states and cities. He's got them doing just crazy stuff. So I don't know. And to the average American, this is what bothers me. To the average American, when they get told every day, 10 times a day, that all of this is President Trump's problem, it hurts. It hurts. Because a goodly number of people are going to just absolutely believe it. Remember, if you tell people a lie long enough, hard enough, and frequently enough, eventually it becomes true. And you can see them using that tactic every day we live now.
Mm-hmm. Now, I heard Mario Murillo, he's an evangelist in California. And he was quoting something that he had seen from somebody who claimed to be a prophet, that Trump would win by 51% if we all come out and vote. He would win by 57%. Now, this is really specific, so okay. I'm just throwing it out there because I heard it. 57% if we vote and pray, and 70+% if we vote and pray and start taking action now. In other words, speaking to people. Now, I was on the phone yesterday in Dollar Tree, got a call. I was talking about Trump and what he's doing, or we were, the conversation was. Some lady came up to me because of her mask. I could not understand what she said. But she came up to me and said, I couldn't help overhearing your conversation. And then she spewed some quick sentence, very negative about Trump, obviously a Democrat supporter. and then she turned around and walked away so fast. I didn't even hear what she said, let alone have a chance to react. But I thought, wow, you know, that she was taking the kind of action. At least she heard what I was saying. But um, that we've got to be willing to speak up to counteract that.
Right. It's a shame that we don't have thousands and thousands of people that will do just what that lady did to you.
Mm-hmm. I was at a church event today, luncheon, and one of the guys afterwards made the comment that we're going to be taken up, we're going to be reacting. Where the country's about ready to explode in reaction to what's going on. And I looked at the men from one to the other. There was about 6 of them, and I said, if the country is going to do something, why is nobody doing anything right now? Now is our time to stand up and say something. Nobody is doing a thing except the rioters. And they said, oh, well, we're waiting for the day after the election. It's like, and so another guy, made a comment, can't remember what he said. And I said, but conservatives and Christians do nothing. They just think it's all in God's hands, and they won't take any action at all. He said, you're right. And he acknowledged that, my disagreeing with the guy saying, we're going to do something. I said, don't talk about what we'll do. That's going nowhere. What is happening?
Good. Well, to all the people that say they're going to do something, but they're going to wait until after the election, they're insane. After the election, there will be nothing, I repeat, nothing that can be done to stop this horde from taking over the country. Not whore, but horde. So, you're right, Mary Ellen. We got to start now. People need to start now. And the way you do it is what I have told y'all since day one. Each one of you have a circle of friends. Maybe in your workplace you have people that you work with and enjoy it, and then you've got people that you don't ever even talk to. But what we have to concentrate on is our group. And this is where you pass on the information either at the water cooler or at your home, whatever, but you pass on a little bit every day. Just like today, I would have everybody say to their circle of friends, I'd have them say, did you see the ludicrous poll showing Trump down 20% to Biden? You can't make that work out. You cannot make that happen. It just will not. Mathematically, it can't happen unless they've got something already in mind with this mail-in ballot fraud thing that they've already got done. Now that I don't know, but the paper ballot is what we've got to go to. You hear me? We have to go to the paper ballot, but you got to take it. Don't mail it. Because when you mail your ballot in, as simple as it seems and as easy as it seems versus having to go someplace and take it in or to the ballot or to the voting booth, yeah, it is easier. But it's a setup for fraud. Because once you put that in the mailbox, and I'm not blaming the mail people, period. I'm just saying, once it's in the mailbox, then they can do a lot of things. Number one, they can claim they didn't get your ballot in. How would you ever prove that they didn't get your ballot? Well, the answer to that is you can't. Then you've got the other problem, which is they take in the ballots and, they count them. But guess what? They count them with nothing but Biden winning. you say, well, but surely we can catch them in fraud doing that. No, you can't. You can't. Because once Biden is elected president, there can be all types of investigations as to the fraud, et cetera, but there's no way he could be pulled from being president and hold another election of some sort. It just won't happen. It just will not happen. Now, in that case, the whole ticket, Biden and Kamala Harris, if there, if there is an investigation and it comes out that yes, there was rigging, so those two people are knocked out, we're going to have to probably have another election or something. When Biden and Kamala Harris are knocked out, if they were to be from an investigation and found that there was fraud going on, now guess who would be president temporary?
Pelosi, wouldn't it?
Yes, that's right. She would be the next one up to sit there, and then when she gets to be president for whatever amount of time, folks, that don't look good. Plus, the other thing you got is what I've told you. Now think about this. They're not going to go in with the intent of getting rid of Trump and then turn around and vote for Republicans in the Senate or the House. They've got a clean sweep, and they know it. They know it. And they don't worry about Biden and his things he messes up, the things he says that are nuts. They don't worry about that because that's not the race they're running. The race they're running is to go out and fire up people. Matter of fact, I heard, what's his name on Fox, the black guy that's the leader of so much in Congress.
Lemon? Oh.
No. Good God, he's been there forever. Anyway, he said it this morning. It doesn't matter if you like Biden or not. You got to vote to get rid of Trump. And that's what this election's all about. That's why they're going to all these great extremes on the mainstream media to make people believe that all of these disasters and everything bad is Trump's fault, so we got to get rid of him. So they don't care about Biden. They don't care about what he says. Matter of fact, they'll probably keep him in the, closed off from everybody. It doesn't matter. All they got to do is just keep firing up people to hate Trump enough to get them motivated to go in and vote to get rid of Trump.
Sherry's got an interesting comment. Rumor has it there'll be organized protests at voting polls to intimidate people. We've got to think about countries around the world where they do that to try. It's a communist tactic to scare people out of voting. And we have to remember how these people have taken their country back from time to time because they have been brave enough to go cast their vote anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So thank you, Sherry, for that.
Yes, and that will happen. As a matter of fact, if y'all recall, in the last election or the one before that, I can't remember where it was, but people went to vote, and here were these black, what's the organization that they had or have? And they were standing there with what looked like billy clubs and stuff with their berets on and just totally intimidating people to go in and vote Republican.
Yeah.
We'll be seeing that again.
I'm sure we will. Yeah. Sherry also said that Dave Hodges claimed his Pentagon source told him Congress tomorrow will announce there will be no election. Now, I thought they had all gone home for a month. I heard yesterday that Pelosi was considering bringing at least the Democrats back to address the issue of Trump's concerns about the post office and making some kind of law about the post office. But have you heard about either one of those?
No, I have not, but I don't know. And I don't know that tomorrow Congress could get together and announce we're not going to have the election. We're going to postpone it. They're just not going to do it for a couple of reasons. I don't even know if they can do it constitutionally. I don't know, or whatever. The other thing is there are enough Democrats, they certainly don't want to put off an election that they know they've got in the bag. So why would they want to put it off? So no, I don't go along with him, and I don't go along with his sources. This is another one of those, pie in the sky things. Now, I could be proven wrong tomorrow. If they announce it, then gosh, I'll be proven wrong. But most of the time, I will not be wrong, and you will not be wrong. If you just stop and think and use common sense.
Now, is saying Congress is supposed to meet tomorrow, so I guess Pelosi did pull people back.
Well, I think they are going to be back, but they're coming back to vote for the post office. What to do about the post office? You see, the ballot, mailing in the ballot, supposedly, and I don't know this, is going to cause such a major load on the U.S. Postal Service. Something's got to be done. They've either got to get more funding so they can hire more people. I don't know what they can do, but the amount of mail they'll handle will be massive, massive. So that's what they're there for.
Yeah, Julie, go to the beginning of the show. We addressed that at the very beginning. Richard asked if you think there's any shenanigans pulled with Trump's brother's death. Now, I heard that he had a bad fall and it caused a brain injury.
I can relate to that. I know where he was. I just came out different than he did.
Yeah.
If that's what happened. Now, to my understanding, and I could be wrong about this, but for some reason, when I heard about his death, I was not surprised. He had been sick, but I could be wrong about that. But I don't think there was any shenanigans. I think it just happened. And if you think somebody just falling a simple fall, wouldn't be enough to kill somebody. Well, remember me, I had a quote unquote simple fall, broke my hip, which is not supposedly a big deal, but at the same time, it took me 3 months just to get awake. So yeah, it could kill you.
Yeah. Somebody asked, is Durham going to come out with a report before the election?
I don't think he's going to come out with a report. I have not checked because I've wanted to kind of get more into the day-to-day stuff that's going on. Remember, I've been, for all practical purposes, gone for like 6 months. So I'm having to reacclimate myself to what's happening. But I will check. At this point, there won't be, to my knowledge, there will not be a report, whether it's before or after the election. But what we could see from him and from Barr, he can recommend to Barr that they indict some of the people he's investigating.
Now, isn't that what Kleinsmith was? And thank you, Pam, for spelling it correctly
Yes,
when I made a mistake.
Yes, yep. So you see, it can happen. Now, they've got to be very disciplined, so it doesn't look like they're doing it just to affect the outcome of the election. But, I will tell you this, the way they will look at it and be fair and be honest, the way they should and will look at it is that whatever they're holding that is somebody that should be indicted, that should be known by the public before an election, because it can have an effect on people if they know that, for example, Biden's group of people are bad guys, crooks. I would want to know before I voted. And that's not being partisan. That's just saying, hey, if there's something out there that is guaranteed you can prosecute. Well, I'd sure like to know before I go walk in and vote for Biden and his group.
Right, and with early voting starts really early in some places before, and so to not have the debates until after many have voted creates a problem.
Yes, it does. This convention tonight, the Democratic convention, I don't exactly know how it's going to work. They're going to do it. They're going to do it just on TV, but there's no convention as such. Now, what that does is that takes all of the speeches that will be made, and they get to rehearse them. They get to really put the spin on it that if they were doing it out in front of a crowd, they might not have that luxury and might screw up. I don't know how many people are going to watch it.
So
to my knowledge, I don't figure there'll be many, but they'll claim there's millions, I guess.
Probably. XPR several times wrote in and was frustrated that I hadn't asked his question yet, even though there were others ahead of him. He said, why not use blockchain technology to count the votes?
Why not use what?
Blockchain technology.
Well, that'd be over my head because I don't know what blockchain technology is. I don't know anything about that, so I'm not the person to ask about that. I'll see. Gosh, I don't even know who to go to. If there is a technology that strongly prohibits election fraud, not voter fraud, but election fraud, then I would love, as most everybody here would, I'd love to see it implemented. But you got to remember, the Democrats know. They know just as sure as I'm sitting here talking to you that they've got Trump beat. So they're going to block anything that gets near causing a problem with the election fraud they've got planned in a big way. Look, this whole concept of mail-in ballots, sending out blanket mail ballots to every home in America, look, that didn't just pop up. Somebody had to do some serious thinking and working stuff out long before they announced that they were going to do it. Long before that. I mean, this is a serious plan, I believe, by the Democrats to just give them the angle one more time to defeat Trump. And after all, look, FBI's not going to chase them. FBI's not going to investigate them. The election commission's not going to investigate them. They know they can do it, and they're doing it. This is how arrogant they are. What else?
Blockchain technology was developed by Bitcoin. The United States Post Office applied for a patent in February. And XRP said, ask about Ripple Ripple Labs, RIPPLE, Ripple Labs. Like the,
All right, I will. Now, how did somebody? I wish somebody would explain to me this Bitcoin technology. Now, I understand, the Bitcoin, but I don't understand the technology that you're talking about, listener. I don't understand it. So it's something that I guess I need to bone up on.
James asked a question, but before I get to his, I'm going to say something about Paul's question. Do you think this is 1980 in reverse? Carter had the gas and oil mess. Trump has COVID-19 and civil unrest, so he can make a case for re-election, like Carter did.
No, the basis for 1980 in Carter and today, the foundational principle is the same. It's to win the election. The difference in 1980 and today is this is everything's on the line now. Back in 1980, you still had a government that could coordinate and could work. Now, while all along they were loading up Congress with progressives, they didn't even have a name back then. But this election is different than any election we've ever had. This election is for everything. I'm telling you, for everything. Your freedom to worship, your freedom to speak. You say, well, that's not possible. Well, you see it every day when conservative people go, for example, to the college campus to speak, and they get shouted down. I'm telling you, this is for every foundational principle that this country has. Is, right now is on the line. Right now. So, if that's not enough impetus to get people get off their duff and go vote, then I don't know what to say.
Yeah, for sure. Golden Runway is suggesting paper ballots with triple copies and National Guard. He's wondering if BLM will count and transport the votes.
Well, I got a feeling somebody will. You see what I'm saying? There's so much room with this blanket mail-in paper ballots. Let's just say they send out, 100 million ballots. Let's take a community of, say, 100. A block area of 100 homes. Now, who is to say those ballots are mailed that Larry Nichols and that bunch voted for Trump? Who's to say I voted for Trump? Because there's not going to be any proof that Larry Nichols voted, period. You're just going to have a ballot. So you see that's number one. You cannot possibly score the outcome of the paper ballots the way they're doing it by blanket mail out. You can't do it. It's just the perfect setup for a major case of election fraud. And guys, this is exactly reminiscent of Venezuela, of Cuba. This is how it happened to them. And this is how it's happened all over the world with communism and socialism. Oh yeah, you'll have elections. You'll have them. But fundamentally, technically, the outcome of the election's always going to be in the favor of the person that the communists want in office.
Yeah.
Remember, there were elections for Fidel Castro, and he won them all. He won, especially at a point where Cuba, most people in Cuba were starving. So how on earth did he keep getting elected? Well, the system was set up so that no matter who voted to get him out, those votes just got canned somehow, same in Venezuela. You see in this election, this is the kind of election we're going to have every election after this one. If Trump loses, this is how, well, I mean, this is a communist election. It's being rigged fundamentally. What else?
Golden Runway says, I grew up under the naive illusion that the integrity of the American election system was sacred, regardless of your political bent, and that it was honest and reliable. That's what made America. And I think we all used to feel that. But
I mean, no doubt, you're not alone. That's the truth. We all grew up thinking or knowing that elections in this country were what they were supposed to be. Right? We all did. I never worried about, my God, somebody rigging the election. Never did. Now I have to. Because they're going to run for it. I mean, because they're not trying to hide it. And again, if, for example, you come out saying these elections are going to be fraudulent because of the stuff they're doing, you know what they're going to do? They're going to laugh at you. People are going to say, people that fall into this category, they're going to say, oh, you're kidding. Nobody could rig the elections in America. It's too big. Can't be done. Well, it's being done right now.
And it's like everything else that the progressives have done. It's been little by little, little by little, little by little. And like the frog in the kettle, nobody was paid.
That's right.
You were paying attention because you knew. So, yeah.
But remember, every time we come out and point something out and show them that this, that, or the other is happening, we're immediately labeled one of two things: conspiracy nut or racist. And they use those two terms like a butcher uses his butcher block. I mean, it's just academic. I mean, they've painted me to be a conspiracy nut over Clinton. Think about it. Yet everything I said about him came true, was true. And then when he tried to defend it, or people tried to defend him on it, everything they said turned out not to be true. But yet, I was branded a conspiracy nut, which lasts still to today.
Yep. Okay, we've got a couple others. Were the federal election laws secretly changed?
No.
Okay. It's just that they know how to do this. Sherry and Frogman, Android phones got the tracker app. It's on my phone. I have to go in on a regular basis and turn it back off and turn it back off and turn it back off. And I have an old phone. I don't have one of the new ones. So this tracking thing is put on automatically. So you need to go into your settings and check. Yes, Julie, we do need voter ID.
Yes, we do. We need voter picture ID, just like you do a driver's license.
Okay, a couple other things. Will there be armed guards at the polls because of protesters trying to intimidate?
If our side gathers and just has a few people carrying signs and trying to remind people to vote right, yeah, they'll probably have armed guards. Now, if Antifa shows up with a bunch of people, no, they won't bother.
So if you're safe to vote, they will come out in mass, and if it's too dangerous, then they'll just let it go.
Mm-hmm. Well, that's yet to come. Believe me, they know they can scare older people, of which I'm a proud member. They know they can scare older people from actually going out to vote. And all it takes is just a few, some story of somebody getting bludgeoned before they got to go in and vote. I mean, it didn't even have to happen. Just the rumor that somebody got beat up, and that will cause a lot of people my age to not go vote.
Couple questions about Trump. Is he okay? He seems pretty different, and there definitely has been a change in his demeanor. I mean, he's been beaten down so badly this year.
Yes, he is. He is okay health-wise, but he knows he's in a spot. He's being blamed, although he has saved probably millions of lives in this country. He's being blamed for this virus. He's being blamed for what he tried to do or did, which is what he was told, by shutting down everything and getting everybody to wear masks. He's getting hit for that. So he's carrying the load on him, and he knows better than I do or you do or any of us do collectively. He knows exactly what it means if he loses this election.
Yeah. And
that is a terrible, terrible weight to put on his shoulders.
Yeah.
Now, the other thing you miss in his demeanor is brought on by the fact that it's hard to get people to come out to his events with everybody being scared of catching the virus. So, yeah, he's got reason to worry. But he's not sick. He's good to go.
And remember that one where he had 1 million people requesting, I don't remember if it happened after you were back or not, where he had 1 million requests for tickets. And turns out most of those, and then they showed that the rally center being half empty, most of those requests for tickets were actually Democrats.
Yeah, now where was this? I didn't know about this.
That was the Tulsa rally. I think it was just before you came back.
Okay, I didn't know anything about it, and so the arena was less than packed.
The arena was less than packed. There were a lot of people who could not get in for one reason or another. But yes, the arena was less than packed, which was hard to believe given that they were making a big deal. Over 1 million people had requested tickets. And then AOC, a couple days later, was publicly, she can't keep her mouth shut. She was publicly laughing over the fact that it was a staged operation, that the Democrats had called in to get tickets just to make sure that the arena would not be full.
Who said that? AOC?
Yes, sir.
Well, what did Trump do about it, or what went on?
Well, they found out about it after the fact. So there wasn't anything that could be done other than to acknowledge that, yeah, a lot of these were bogus requests for tickets, just to make it look like he didn't have the numbers that it was anticipated ahead of time.
Yeah.
I mean, they made a big deal of how many people, look how popular he is, look how many people requested tickets. And then the arena was not full. And then AOC comes out 2 days later laughing, yeah, we got him, It's just a psyop.
Well, they're going to play every dirty trick in the book, folks. I promise you.
Yeah. And Frogman's asking why no one got sick at the Mount Rushmore gathering. Well, we certainly haven't heard about it. If they did. Runway says contesting elections as they did in 2016 was un-American and unpatriotic. Going forward, people will never believe in the integrity of any election.
Well, we may be to a period in this country. Well, no, I take it back. We are at a period that I've never seen. None of us have ever seen. Mm-hmm. Never seen a time where you walk around with a mask on, everybody. We've never seen a time where members of Congress and the president call each other names and literally block outcomes of hearings. We've never seen it that way before, not like as vividly as it is now. So, it's not shocking to believe that this election could be screwed up. Okay?
Yeah.
It's not right. It's a terrible feeling. But it's just what it is. Now it's up to us to cut through all of this and to do our part. And if we can just elect President Trump for one more term, we will set this country back on the track it should be. And then you'll see a country like America that can live up to our, what do you call it, Maryland? Live up to our, not expectations, but
well, the norms, our constitutional freedom that we have, it will be a republic again.
Yeah.
Get our republic back.
Just little things that people will not remember come election day. President Trump said he was going to bring businesses back here from these other countries. Well, he has. He has hurt China tremendously. So, this is he's done what he said he would do. We've never had a president that was able literally to do what he said he would do, like Trump. Never had. We've had some say they were going to do this, that, or the other, and then they tried, and then Congress blocked them. We've never had a president like President Trump who got everything done or is getting everything done he said.
Yeah, Golden Runway says Trump being president did not cause the underlying cancer, but exposed it. That will be his legacy. Our legacy is to act in the knowledge with respect to freedom in our future. It's a good point.
Yes, I agree with that 100%.
There was a bike rally in Sturgis that was phenomenal. The police were taking down the Antifa protesters. It's a motorcycle rally that happens every year in Sturgis. And I'm not sure what state that was. Texas, I think, maybe. Anyhow.
So they did shut down Antifa.
Oh, they shut it down, and the police were right there with them. They felt that the police knew the bikers had their backs, and so, yeah, the police, there would be like 9 cops taking down one Antifa guy. James has asked a couple questions. Did you hear about the drone that caused a near miss with Air Force One at Andrews Air Force Base last night.
No, did not. Have not.
And do you know who paid for Kamala Harris's plastic surgery after she dropped out of the Democratic race?
No, I don't. I didn't even. I was not aware that it happened. I haven't looked at her close to see.
Yeah, her jaw's changed. And Sturgis is in South Dakota. Let's see. I thought James had one other question. Oh, I already asked the other question. So.
Well, let me tell you this about Sturgis, folks. I would not want to go to Sturgis and protest against Trump with those bikers. Ain't no way I'd do it. And I'm pretty capable of going and doing something like that. But if I were against Trump, there's no way I'd go to that event. No way.
That just kind of shows how brazen they have become. So, Golden Runway says we're all delighted that Larry is back with us and remaining in the fight for the right.
Well, I'm sorry, guys, that I'm not fully up to speed yet. It's a process I'm having to go through. I'm having to be very careful, having to do therapy, etc. And we can sure use help. So if any of you are out there, send what you can. It just helps. But
did you ever figure out how much you were still missing for the therapy
Oh, yes, I did. We're right at 200 something.
Okay.
288, I think it is short.
Oh, wow. That means that the number was bigger than you had told me originally. All right.
Well, this is effective as of this morning.
Yeah.
So there may be some more included that come in the mail that we didn't count before.
No,
folks, any of you been to the hospital, you know what I'm talking about every day now. We're just being inundated with one thing after another that, we either have to pay copay or they turn down this claim or whatever. So we're really taking it on the chin right now. But the country's more important than me.
Well, I thought I had raised half of what you needed. I thought I had done that. So the bill
you did, I think. It's just like I said, this is the new total as of this morning.
So they've changed it. Okay. So folks, he needs another 280. His PayPal account is here at the top, nicholslive@aol.com, and he needs this medical equipment that is very, very important for the next stage of his physical therapy. So, and that was $1,250. So we need $280 for his copay for the physical therapist to come to the house. The other piece is the $1,250 he needs for the and folks, I've looked into buying used. And for what we can buy used for through Facebook Marketplace, it is not worth going that route.
No.
For multiple reasons. Because he can, if he buys the equipment new, he can sell it back and he will have then new equipment for less money than what we can buy it for used. So
well, what we don't want to do is end up with a hospital bed and try to get rid of it.
Yeah. It's something that's hard to get rid of. So
yeah, so it's better to do the buyback thing. It's to us. All right, well, we're out of time, gang. But
thank you, Larry.
Thank you all. I'll be back tomorrow. Remember, then we do us first, right? And then Jason, or is it Jason first, then us?
We had decided that we were going to do us first, then Jason. And afterwards, last week it got changed. But I never did see his interview, with the African doctor. But
well, I'll find out and tell you. So, folks, just look at the website, and there you will find out which is going to be. I mean, I want you there for both. So
yeah, I will put it in the title tomorrow. We are planning to be here at our regular time and tomorrow, and if that changes, I will make that change in the title for tomorrow, so you will know, if we're to watch Jason first. Frogman, I'm going to put up. Go ahead, Larry. You can go, and I've got somebody who wants a conference call to discuss the money, but I'm going to put my cell phone number here. If anybody doesn't want to use PayPal, you can use my cell phone. Text me, and I can help create alternative methods.
All right, well, guys, I'm out of here. Frogman, all of you, thank you. We'll talk again.
All right, thanks, Larry. Text me, Frogman, 240-499-6729. I can anyhow, we can talk about what can be done, and I'd be happy to talk to you. So send a text and I will call you back, depending on what I'm doing, whether I can. It's better to text first and let me call you back. Golden Runway, he's lifting weights. He is progressing faster than the doctors can believe. They keep saying, "What are you doing?" Because he is making incredible progress. But what he did setback wise, I mean, he was even accidentally. I stopped after saying accidentally, because with Larry, you just never know if it's really an accident or not. But he was dropped on his head, which broke his hip. He ended up with it breaking second and third time, with landing on his head more than once. And so doctors are not used to seeing somebody with double concussions and all. So the fact that he's doing this well is pretty amazing. And as he said last week, this is an answer to prayer. There is no doubt. He acknowledges that it's an answer to prayer. I'm taking a break from conference calls right now. I need to do that for my own sanity right now. So our numbers got so small that it just wasn't worth keeping it going. So we're not doing the conference calls anymore. And whether we come back to them or not, that remains to be seen. So, yes, Larry was Special Forces. He was in the military. He was a Green Beret. He stayed on with Special Forces. He did a lot of work with what our government used Special Forces to overturn many governments. And he was part of getting rid of Pol Pot. He was there in Nicaragua. We're fighting the Sandinistas he was helping the guerrillas fight the Sandinistas and help overturn communism in Nicaragua and protect it from marching on up through the Central America into the U.S. So he has done an awful lot in helping to block communism. And he knows a lot of the tricks of everything, because when he stopped working for Special Forces, he knew that he probably was not going to live a whole lot longer if he continued to work with them, because he knew too much at that point. So, it's kind of like what David had done to Uriah in the book of Samuel, where he told Joab, his military general, to put Uriah at the front and pull back so that make sure he was killed. So Larry figured he was probably getting close to that point that Uriah was at, and so he stopped, and he had helped get Bill Clinton elected the first time and times after that, because he used to be an ad man, and he was doing ads for the Stevens brothers, who were the bank owners in Arkansas. And so that's how he knew the Stevens, who then asked him to get Bill Clinton elected. And, it was a job to him back then. It was before he came to Christ. And so, he's a new person. And so he has been on the inside of all that dirty stuff. And so he knows more than we realize he knows. He's not in any spy novel. He's in the flesh. You can't make up the kind of stuff. People don't have the creativity to make up the kind of things that Larry has been involved in. But since coming to Christ, he realized that his past was a terrible. Some of the things he did was a terrible mistake. There have been times when he's done things because he had to. There are other times when if he was going to get paid, he was willing to do it, and he admits that. And he's very self-ingratiating because he will never forget who he was. But the grace of God that wiped that slate clean, he's forgiven. He knows he's forgiven. Um, but the forgetting is a different matter. So thank you guys for anything and everything you can do. We've got to get him. This physical therapy has to continue, and his copay needs to be paid before they come back. So that is really important. And then, of course, this medical equipment to help him with the next stage. So, I mean, I've seen his walking. I've seen the progress he's made. It's pretty incredible, in my opinion. It's what he's dealing with is pretty rough. So thank you for your prayers. Don't stop. If you feel if his name comes to your mind, it's God telling you to pray for him. So James, that's pretty funny, but I don't think that's what happened. Anyhow, thanks a lot, folks, and God bless you. I'll be back tomorrow, and just be watching for the title to know whether we come back on at 2 Central or 3 Central. All right, see you tomorrow. Bye. And Frogman, call me.